first home gymnastics meet of the season inside Carmichael Arena, and it's Tar Wars nights. The North Carolina Tar Heels and the George Washington Revolutionaries competing here this season. Begun the college gymnastics season has, alongside the former Georgia Bulldog Sydney Speed. My name is Matt Krause. Thanks for being with us to start off your weekend. In Sydney, these are two programs in similar spots. Just on the outside of the NCAAs last year, they want to be in 2025.
Yeah, that's really what the focus is for both of these teams tonight. What is going to set them up for success this season? It's going to come from clean, consistent gymnastics and those stuck landings that we've been talking about.
Well, if George Washington is going to take that next step this season, it could come because of Delaney DeHaan. She is a sophomore coming back from a high school injury, and her head coach, Stephanie Worrell, says that she is, quote, addicted to competition.
I love that quote. Coach Worrell just lit up when we were talking to her this week. Just an amazing athlete and such a cool story, coming back from that torn ACL in high school and now competing first meet, 39-1 in the all-around. Just an incredible job.
North Carolina gets home for their home opener off of their highest season opening road score in program history at Alabama last week, when Fink tied for the event high on beating.
I absolutely love watching her gymnastics. Such clean form, great execution, and just phenomenal on these events. I'm excited to watch her tonight in Carmichael. I just really felt like she's grown so much confidence-wise these last couple years, and it's just been a blast to watch.
Fink's now a junior and a mainstay in the lineup for Dana Durante, fourth-year head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels. Led the team to the NCAAs in her first season, trying to get back there as a team here in 2025. She is building a foundation here in Chapel Hill. For George Washington, there is a change at the helm for the first time in 40 years. Stephanie Worrell is a former George Washington gymnast herself. She competed for her now former head coach, Margie Foster Cunningham, who retired in the offseason after 39 years. Coach Worrell is a former assistant under Foster Cunningham and starting to put her own stamp on the program, but still learned so much from her coach and mentor.
Yeah, when we talked about one of the biggest things she learned from Margie, she mentioned just learning how to work with young women and really developing them takes one day at a time. She said she's made a lot of small changes to the program, but was truly thankful for all the things that she had learned, so that was neat to hear.
Yeah, we asked her if there's one thing that she remembers learning, and she said there's way too many to count. These are two programs that are very familiar with one another. North Carolina is in their second season in the new ACC Gymnastics Conference. Previously, they were both members of the Eagle. So this is the 8th time that George Washington and North Carolina have competed against one another. Definite familiarity for these two programs. North Carolina, as the home team, will rotate in Olympic order. That means the Tar Heels will be on vault in rotation number 1. Last week of 48-9 for North Carolina in this event on the road at Alabama. As we take a look at North Carolina's vault lineup, Sydney, what sticks out to you about the 6 competitors for the Tar Heels this evening?
Well, when we were watching warm-ups, I was really impressed just with how big the vaults were and how clean those landings were. So I'm really excited. Julia Noer, just a standout athlete for them and her senior year, starting off this lineup strong. Obviously love Kaya Forbes last year. You're going to see some huge amplitude and height off the table from her as well. So really looking forward to seeing all of them, but specifically those two.
Noah, the all-arounder for North Carolina here tonight. George Washington will start things out on bars. A 48.55 for the Revolutionaries in this event, and their season opening quad on the road against Western Michigan. Pitt and Illinois State were there as well last week.
Gotta mention, I really am liking the glitter in their leotards tonight. Very sparkly.
The gold and blue, they'll tell you it's buff and blue there in Foggy Bottom, Washington, D.C. Julia Noer, the all-arounder for the Tar Heels, senior from Louisiana. Last week on vaults, a 9.75, career best is a 9.9.
One thing that we see from Julia Noer is just that natural power she has on all 4 events, especially this one. Nice Yurchenko full to start off this vault lineup. Really liked the height and the distance she got. Again, small hop on that landing. But you can see from here, Nice block off the table. Stays within those white lines, which is always a plus.
Got close to the right white line there, but as you said, Sydney, able to keep those feet inside. Over to bars we go. Zoe Safran, she's a freshman from north of the border from Toronto. 9.55 in her college debut against Western Michigan last week. George Washington and Stephanie Worrell, their goal over the course of this meet here tonight. Coach Worrell said it would be nice to get, as Safran falls down there, it would be nice to get a 195 as a team, but the focus is on going 24 for 24, and tough start here for Safran City.
Yeah, you can see she just couldn't quite grab on her release move going from that shaposh low bar to high bar. It's always tricky because it's a blind grab, and just was a little, didn't have enough power. It's always tough too to start with a fall, so the rest of the lineup's really going to have to rally to be able to get those consistent scores that they're looking for tonight.
And so here Safran has her allotted 30 seconds to regroup and get ready to continue the routine, yes?
And after you regroup, you have to keep in mind she's having to restart the entire routine. So again, you can see she just did that release move and that shaposh. Nicely done. Almost a little bit frustrating, you know, because you fall and then you get back up and do it. So I'm sure she'll be a little bit frustrated with that. Again, ends with that double layout dismount.
Raises the pressure on the rest of the lineup for George Washington, though, because if they have another fall the rest of the way, they'll have to count to fall. Here's the dismount.
Can see she does a double layout from one swing, which is really difficult. She didn't have all the power that she needed to make that around, so that's going to be another deduction. But again, really nice job being able to repeat the entire routine.
Score is in for Noer. It's a 9.775 for the Carolina leadoff athlete on vaults. So for Noer, gets things started for the Tar Heels. Nev King will follow. Sophomore from the Woodlands, Texas. Made her college debut last week against Alabama after missing last season due to injury. It was a 9.6 a week ago.
Really going to be looking for a clean vault here from her. Really pretty vault. Notice the distance she got from the table all the way to the back. That's very impressive. She's going to want to work on that stuck landing, which we're going to probably say a lot tonight. But again, nice job on that vault. Very clean, consistent. If she can get that stick, it's going to be great.
Both of these head coaches talking a lot about stuck landing
yes.
to focus in practice, heading from meet number 1 to meet number 2 in the season.
Yeah, you're going to be hearing that a lot because, again, it is only the second week of gymnastics season, but when talking to the coaches, it's always landings, landings, landings. Where can we get that half tenth? Where can we get that full tenth back? And again, when you add those up, it is a lot.
Up next on bars for George Washington, it is the sophomore from Thurmont, Maryland, Sophia Tyre-Yard. Tyre-Yard, 9.725 last week. Career best is a 9.8 last February. Returning member of the bars lineup for George Washington, competed in all 13 meets on bars a year ago. 3 9.75s or better in her freshman season.
She's really just looking to get a clean hit bar routine right now, following the mistake earlier. So far, so good. We can see the judges looking for those nice handstands on top of the bar. She does a free hip and unfortunately couldn't get that all the way around. It seemed like. Let's take another look. She does that free hip and then goes in for that blind full and just got stuck, unfortunately. Those can be tricky sometimes.
That's 2 falls for George Washington, their first 2 competitors on bars.
Not what they were looking for, and unfortunately falls can be contagious sometimes. So not the start that they wanted, but Again, we'll see her redo this right here. She does the free hip. Just looks like she can't get that free hip all the way around. That one skill that's giving her a hard time. You can see right here, looks good, and then that arch in her back, her feet just go straight the opposite way.
So you use the phrase falls can be contagious. How do you avoid that as a gymnast competing later in the lineup?
Well, I think that's where just the mentally tough aspect of gymnastics comes in, right? Because you practice all preseason for situations and things like this that come up, and that's really where you have to be within yourself and confident with your gymnastics. Finishes with that dismount. Save the landing, but they're going to want to drop that score because of the 2 falls.
Over on vault, you are not seeing double. This is Ellie King, the twin sister of Nev King.
So fun, twin sisters on the same team, competing back-to-back in the vault lineup, right? We'll take another look here at that Yurchenko fall. A little bit of bent arms on the table, which took away some of that height off the table, but a nice clean vault. She's worked really hard during preseason, Coach Durrani said, on the details and being able to find control in the landing. So, great job.
You know that trend, Sydney, of recreating childhood photos? We've got a fun one for you. There's Ellie and Nev.
Love that.
Early days of their gymnastics career, and you had to figure they busted out again.
Recreated. It was spot on. And how fun to be able to do that with your twin sister.
Their grandmother is a twin, and their great-grandmother had 2 sets of twins.
Wow.
So it runs in the family.
Twins might be in their future, yeah.
It's a 9.775 for Nev. That is a career high for her young career, topping the 9.6 that she achieved against Alabama last time out. Waiting the score for Tyre Yar over on bars for George Washington. Falls from both Safran and Tyre Yar have the Revolutionaries operating from a little bit of a deficit in this first rotation.
And if you're Coach Borrell, this is where you're really looking for your athletes to step up. You've had 2 falls back-to-back. The tide's got to change here. Someone's got to step up and start consistent for the rest of the lineup. Because again, can be contagious, but also hits and sticks. Those also are contagious.
We're going to look there at the junior from North Andover, Massachusetts. She's Casey Burke. 9.675 last week on bars.
Starts off with a nice handstand to that Ginger release move. You don't see too many of those in collegiate gymnastics. Then does that shoot over to handstand on the low bar. So far, she's doing a great job making it through this routine. A couple form breaks here and there that'll be deductions. But ends with that double layout dismount, slight step backwards. But nice job getting them back on track. You can see that Ginger release move. The judges are going to be looking at that leg separation when she caught the bar, so that'll be a deduction. But again, she did her job of getting them back on track.
Back over to vault for North Carolina, the true freshman JoJo Valahovic. Given name is Jordan. Valahovic is a twin as well. Her twin sister Olivia attends Ohio State.
We're going to see a big 1.5. Really nice job on the actual twisting and block off the table. But again, they're going to want to minimize that hop. You can see great form, great execution throughout, but just has that really big hop forward. That comes from the 1.5, which is a 10.0 start value, and it is a blind landing. So it's really hard air awareness-wise to know and perfect that stick for that 1.5 vault.
It's a 9.65 for Ellie King before Valahovic. George Washington and Casey Burke compete most recently on bars, provide some stabilization for the Revolutionaries. And that's a new event for Burke. She was a mainstay on vault and floor last year, but competed in bars for the first time last week. Now here's Rachel Katz, junior from North Carolina, from Charlotte. 9.725 a week ago. Career best is a 9.9 on bars for Katz. They presented undergraduate research in December. She studied vitamin D supplementation on gross motor outcomes in children with cerebral palsy.
And so far, really clean and sharp routine. You can see those clean lines on top of the bar. The judges are looking for that handstand and that really nice form throughout. She does a really big Tkachev in between the bars. Notice how she went towards the low bar. It's a lot more difficult and a little bit scary to go the opposite way. And wow, ends with a double tuck stuck dismount. Nice routine. You can see here this huge Tkachev. She's great height over the bar. No problem on that catch. And then does a blind fall into that double tuck and broke out right in time for that stick.
One of the athletes you were looking forward to seeing competing, Sydney, that's Kaya Forbes for North Carolina. This will be a Yurchenko full. We saw her with a Yurchenko 1.5 last year.
Absolutely. She just has so much potential on this event. Huge full, minimal hop on that. I love getting to watch her vault and just all the power that she has. We'll see it again on floor exercise, but take a look at the nice body shape throughout that full. It looked like she still had power that she could have pushed off the table with, but again, broke out. Nice landing. That's going to be a big score for them.
Big smile on the face of the junior Kaya Forbes. By the way, score update, 9.65 on vault for Valahovic. Also a 9.675 for Casey Burke on bars. Surpasses her score from a week ago. Here is the athlete we talked about right off the top, Delaney DeHaan, a sophomore from Bradenton, Florida. She tore her ACL final year of high school and is now competing all around as a sophomore. Her bar score was a 9.7 a week ago. 9.875 is her career best.
Starts off this bar team with a piked Jaeger. Right down to the low bar on that shoot over. It's a really difficult combination because you have to have enough swinging power. Notice how she was a little bit short going down to the low bar, but covered it well. Finish the routine. There's going to be a couple deductions throughout. Again, we'll take a look at this release move. A nice piked Jaeger right there, but then goes straight to the low bar. You can see how she bent her arms and had a little bit of a struggle there. And then again on the dismount with that step forward.
On the Eagle Gymnast of the Week, co-champion in the all-around last week in GW season opening quad. Waiting her score, her meet opening routine on bars. Anchor competitor on vault for North Carolina is the senior Lali Dekanoiza.
Does a Yurchenko full, breaks out for the stick. She almost had it. I think they're gonna give a slight deduction on that, but take a look here. Another full. I did like how she knew where she was. She was able to break out of that vault and just notice the form and technique throughout. Really nice job controlling that landing. They're definitely gonna want to see a little more chest up on that for that no deduction stick.
There's a slight movement in the feet there. Is that going to be a
slight shift? Yeah, they'll take a deduction on that shift. And again, the chest being down.
There's a 9.775 for Forbes before, so 3 9.775s for the Tar Heels. Looks like they'll be dropping one of the 9.65s. Set to compete on bars for George Washington, Lola Montevago, freshman from Seaford, New York, 9.725 last time out.
Huge release move. You can see these handstands and the execution, again, is great throughout the routine. Getting ready for this dismount. Double tuck. Really nice stick. A nice way for George Washington to end this bar rotation. Let's take another look. Look at the height that she gets on this. All the way over the bar. Has no problem there. And then again on the dismount. Double tuck. Great height. Drops out.
Isabel Schaefer with an exhibition routine on vault for the Tar Heels. Schaefer's career high in competition on this event is a 9.825. Only a bar specialist, but opportunity here on vault.
A nice job on that, again, controlled landing. That's the biggest thing that we're looking for. You can see right here, off the table. She's going to be looking for a little bit more amplitude right there, but rotates the full around well, and again, a nice controlled landing for that.
Score for Decanoids was a 9.825. So that is the event high on vault for North Carolina. And the Tar Heels score will be a 48.8 in the first rotation here tonight. DeHaan with a 9.5 on bars for GW. Waiting the score for Montavago, but all but assuredly, the 8 for Tyre Yar will be dropped. Here's an exhibition on bars for George Washington. Madison McMullen, senior from Athens, Georgia, who competed on bars 5 times last season for GW, getting to compete here in the exhibition. The student athlete that Stephanie Worrell mentioned was going to warm up, and if the consistency was there, would have been in the actual lineup, but GW feels good about the depth as McMullen takes a hard fall there.
And you could see she did that straddle Jaeger release move right here, gets ready for it. I love the height on it, but again, didn't even come close to being able to grip onto the bar. Unfortunately, that's just a timing issue. The good news is it's easier to fix, but not wanting to see that right now in the beginning of season.
But still for GW, given where this rotation started with the falls from Saffron and Tyre Yar, we talked about how sometimes falls can be contagious. Starting with Burke, they were able to turn the page and put together some solid routines as this rotation went along.
Yeah, and they should be really proud of that because, again, coming after a fall or even after 2 falls, it really is hard to reset and switch that mindset of the next couple of athletes. And so for them to be able to come back and have some consistent routines is going to be a highlight and a positive for them. But on the flip side of that, they're definitely going to want to be able to go back in the gym and fix those little mistakes here and there.
So still awaiting that score for Montavago, which will determine the final rotation score for George Washington in this event. Stephanie Worrell delivering the message to her team. Coach Worrell earned her master's degree in organizational leadership in 2019 while a George Washington assistant. And her team wrapping up competition in the first rotation here tonight. 1 rotation down between North Carolina and George Washington. We'll be back in a moment.